So welcome to the weekly recap video. Got a few good topics this week. The big highlight is going to be our 5 top games of the generation.
Yes,
which
excited
was
for
brought
that.
on by a Twitter event, so that one's exciting.
Mhm.
Some new and exciting news about games. Of course, games. And then PS4 games going to PC and some miscellaneous. There's always miscellaneous topics.
Yeah, there was a ton of stuff this week.
Lots of miscellaneous this week. Still nothing massive happened. I think there is something that if you're on social media, you would consider to have been something massive that happened this week that we should address.
Yeah.
Which is the whole debacle that was Anthem and the trailer situation with Anthem. And so I don't want you guys to think that we don't consider this a big topic in the video. I think that I just personally, I come from a different perspective on that whole thing. So I guess my main perspective is it's hilarious.
It was pretty funny.
The debacle-ness of it.
And what you're speaking about specifically is essentially Sony released a video of the Anthem footage, which was Xbox One X.
The actual gameplay trailer
from
E3 which was Xbox footage and belonged to Xbox.
Yes, yeah.
Which led them to sub in, I don't know what the proper terms are for, Doctor.
Yeah.
The controls in one of the scenes that they show a prompt come up and tell you what buttons you can press. Of course, PlayStation and Xbox don't have the same buttons. And so when they went to change out what the buttons were, they didn't do a good job of photoshopping it, which again...
Well, they actually did a really good job, except for like 1 or 2 frames at the very beginning of the process.
Yeah, you could see what they covered up and what they covered it up with.
Yeah.
Which, again, like, I don't mean to laugh, but that's hilarious, because you spend 5, 6, 7, 8... How long would that take? How many hours do you spend doing that, and it just...
Yeah,
Oops.
well, I spoke... that's one of those oopsie moments we were talking about.
Yeah.
I spoke to a friend of mine that works in an industry where, you know, he does that kind of thing.
Yeah.
And he was telling me that it's a painstaking process to be able to do that and achieve it and make it look perfect.
Yeah.
So it was a lot of work that went into that, which is kind of the thing that nobody really talked about. It's kind of a sad story for the guy that did it. Probably lost his job.
Probably.
You know, he probably had to take the brunt of whatever the fallout is from that.
When it got discovered in PlayStation.
And then it was taken down.
Yeah.
Yeah. So that's a little sad that might happen. You know, this is just someone that's working for a company that's trying to do the best he can, trying to do something quickly and get it out there, and he missed a few frames.
Really just to say this is something that's also coming to PlayStation.
Essentially, because what we've heard from when we talk about Anthem, all you've heard is that it's Xbox One X.
Xbox.
I literally haven't seen a single article or post that says it's coming to PC, and I haven't seen besides this video, a single post that says it's a PlayStation game. It seems like it's just an Xbox X game.
Yeah, and what I found interesting about that was Microsoft has gotten a lot of heat recently about the fact that Sony has taken on so many third-party marketing deals. And a lot of people have said, well, how come Microsoft isn't trying to do any of that? How come Sony's the one doing all that?
Yeah.
And people have thought that Sony's really getting the leg up there, like they're being the smart ones, they're getting the marketing deals. And meanwhile, Microsoft is sneaking around all quietly, you know, getting this Anthem piece. And it's huge because everyone is associating Anthem with the Xbox One X because Microsoft worked very closely with BioWare because of wanting to showcase that game in the way they did. BioWare was so excited about that as well that everybody has been talking about it being Xbox. So it's been a huge Xbox marketing endeavor. It's really
a big win
marketed the Xbox.
For the new console in particular.
Exactly. Yeah. So it's showcasing the Xbox One X. It's getting people excited about it that maybe weren't even excited about it. Yeah. And maybe people who don't know that generally speaking, BioWare is third party. Generally speaking, I don't mean third party, but multi-platform.
I think most people know, but you're talking about casual gamers that don't pay attention to anything.
Yeah, so casual gamers that just got excited when they saw that, and then they associate it with the Xbox One X. So it's a marketing deal. And it's a smart one. It's a really good move by Microsoft. But that causes people who work for PlayStation, and they're excited about working for PlayStation. They love it. I think everyone who works for a gaming company is really excited about it. And that kind of sucks because it seems like it's not coming to PlayStation. So every time people are mentioning this game that your console is getting, it's being mentioned as the other console.
Yes, yeah.
And so I guess my perspective on this is it really came across in social media like this was, you know, PlayStation doing this and this was so intentional. And yes, poorly done, definitely, especially using a gameplay trailer. That was not a good plan.
That was the real big mistake that a lot of people didn't seem to mention.
Didn't really realize is that's a gameplay trailer.
Shouldn't have used the E3 footage.
Yeah, gameplay trailers are specific to whoever's stage they were shown on.
Exactly.
So when Sony, and I do say when, because Sony was obviously going to have a gameplay trailer of Anthem at some point. It is multi-plat.
Yeah.
When they got theirs, it wouldn't have looked the same.
Yeah.
So they used the same footage, which I bet is what caused people to start slowing it down and looking at it carefully, because that was a tip-off that there was something weird.
Definitely.
Otherwise, I don't know that quick flash of a poor editing moment would have come across as being so obvious.
Yeah.
But I don't have the perspective that PlayStation did this. I don't have the perspective that, Yoshida signed off on it. He signed off on this.
It was Kazurai that did it.
It was an employee probably who did it, and it probably missed some appropriate approvals. It probably just kind of slipped through the cracks, and I think PlayStation coming down and taking it off the page immediately when they found out about it, presumably found out about it, is a sign that it really was.
And all of the game companies have done something kind of similar. I don't think anything was quite this blatant.
It's happened before.
There's been other things where people accidentally put the wrong footage because they were sent the wrong footage. Right. We've seen that. Nintendo even had Skyrim up on their Switch reveal when it hadn't even been confirmed as a game coming to Switch. Yeah. So there's been a lot of that type of thing. So it's not a huge deal. Yeah. But it is something we definitely wanted to comment on for sure.
Yeah, so I wouldn't want our viewers to think, because it was a big deal in social media this week, that we don't think that it's a messed up situation, because I think we both probably do think it was.
Yeah.
I just don't see it as being a big PlayStation public relations issue. It obviously caused them one, but I see it as probably being one individual who wanted to showcase something and went about it very poorly and probably paid the price.
Probably agree with that, yeah.
So that's my take on Anthem. That's my only take on Anthem. It's done. It's over. So our big highlight this video was prompted by Jez Corden posted a tweet a couple of days ago asking what your top 5 games of the generation are.
Yeah, yeah.
And I should not have gotten really excited about a tweet like that, but I got really excited about that tweet because I immediately started reflecting, what are my top 5 games this generation? And then you start thinking about the games, and you start getting the nostalgia, and it's like, it really turned into a big thing, right?
Yeah, but you and I ended up having quite a bit of conversation about all this. So what did you finalize? What ended up being your top 5? Because I didn't see you post that.
I did not post it because it was so hard. I was going from like 25, got it down to 20, got it down to 15. It's really hard to do that. I think everyone knows that my top, at least if you've checked out others of our videos, my top game of all time is Dragon Age Inquisition.
So you think that's the greatest game ever made?
Of all time.
Okay. Yeah.
For me. Obviously, I haven't played all the games.
It's my favorite RPG of all time, yeah.
Yeah, and it's truly, for me, it's my favorite game of all time. I love that game. I love everything about that game. So that's my obvious first.
I would agree with you. That's in my top 5.
Yeah, they'll never beat that one. So when I think of this generation, that's what I think about. I definitely have to put a really close second on that, though, with Gears 4.
Absolutely.
I am a major Gears fan, whole franchise. Absolutely love the Gears series. So excited I can't even talk. And
you played through all 4, and I believe you played them all on Insanity.
I have.
4 hasn't been completed on Insanity yet, but
I am stuck semi-permanently on Gears 4 Insanity. But it's such a good franchise because there's so much, replay value. There's really games that are supposed to have replay value and games that aren't. So Gears 4 is awesome because it keeps you engaged forever. I mean, I'm always in Horde or multiplayer or something.
Yeah, hundreds of hours in Horde and multiplayer.
Yeah, every night. It's like you could suggest Gears, and most likely that's what I'm going to pick because it's just such an awesome franchise. So
I agree with you on Gears.
Be my second.
Gears 4.
Sunset Overdrive.
That's
if you're an Xbox fan, you definitely have that. At least near your top 5 or in it. Really awesome game. Also a lot of replayability, although that wasn't the design behind that one. That's
one of those really awkward moments for me when people say they didn't like it. And
you've heard that before?
Yeah, one of my friends said that they weren't able to get into it, and it was a moment where you're like, do we cut the friendship off here, or how do you proceed from that moment?
Did you ask your friend if he understood how to traverse? Because I mean, if you
we
understand
did. We had a brief
traverse,
conversation about all that, and it just didn't click for them. And I understand that thing because that happens to me with almost every game actually these days because I play so many.
Yeah.
Where if I don't have a click moment where
it's hard.
It really feels like it. Oh man, I just clicked for me why this is a great game and why this works.
Yeah.
If I don't have that, I move on from it. And sometimes it takes some time. Like you mentioned, Dragon Age Inquisition. It actually took me about 5 to 10 hours to get that.
Yeah.
From that game, I didn't think it was that great at first. And then it kept having further click moments.
Yeah.
20 hours in, another one. 50 hours in, another one. The game kept getting bigger as you go along. Sunset Overdrive is kind of a small world, even though it's an open world, but it keeps getting better the better you get at traversing the world.
Traversing the environment's the center.
Yeah, understanding the gameplay mechanics, understanding the control mechanics, and then understanding how the two affect each other as you get better at it, and you start whittling down your times on all the challenges and stuff like that. You can play that forever, just trying to improve your time.
What happened to me is at first I also, especially with Sunset Overdrive, because that is a tricky game. The mechanics of Sunset Overdrive are a little bit unique, tricky. So it took me a little bit to get going on it, although I could see the fun in it. And then I got so into traversing the environment, and then I would start running into challenges. I'd be like, I gotta do this challenge, and then you're so angry at the challenge because you're trying to get the gold and you just can't.
Gotta get all the toilet
papers. You gotta keep doing it. I am obsessed with collectibles, so I was swinging every pole in the entire city, grabbing the toilet papers off. But then I would find myself just traversing. I would go in there and I'd be like, I'm gonna play this game, and I wouldn't actually play anything because I was just traversing, which is why I asked that if somebody didn't like it. But it is a unique style. It is not.
There's been hours of gameplay from myself where I didn't collect anything. I just traversed. Just to see what I could do.
You're just bouncing off bushes and hitting train tracks, and before you know it, it's 2 a.m. and you didn't do a single thing.
So your list is incredible so far.
Yeah.
What else do you have?
Seriously, it's so hard to weed these down. Dead Rising series.
Yeah.
I am a major fan of Dead Rising series. So 3 and 4. Both.
I like them both.
Really, really awesome.
Yeah.
Loved playing them.
They didn't make my list, and just barely because there's just so many great games, like you said.
I've just spent so many hours in the Dead Risings. It has to be in my list.
Yeah.
It would just
you're always playing 3 or 4.
Yeah.
Definitely. Since, 2013, 2014? So.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And there's a lot of, again, that game, I just get stuck driving around in a car, trying to find more combo vehicles and killing zombies and
trying to get all those zombie achievements, definitely.
Trying to get all the trophies and all that.
Yeah.
And then Rise of the Tomb Raider. Huge fan of Rise of the Tomb Raider, huge fan of the Tomb Raider series, and that was just, they really took that game up a notch from its predecessor, which was already amazing. So I really enjoyed that. I really love the exploring style of an RPG. So I have actually heard the rumors that there is another Tomb Raider in development. It's all been a little bit vague, but excited to see that. We know, of course, that there's another one coming. What is your top 5?
Well, you have, I believe, 4 of... is that right? For like 4 of the games that I have, essentially?
Dragon Age.
Yeah,
right?
That's on there.
Gears 4.
Right. Okay.
Sunset Overdrive's got to be in there.
Sunset, yeah, that's in there, definitely.
Okay. I think those are the 3.
Well, I believe, I want to say Rise of the Tomb Raider. Yeah, I have
Rise of the Tomb Raider might have been
and then I think where I differed was I put Forza 6 in there as well, because I love racing.
That was a hard one for me to not put in my top
5. But I thought about it after I posted that, and I was thinking, there's you've got Halo 5, and you've got Fallout 4, so I kind of want to put Fallout 4 in place of Forza, even though
really good.
They're kind of, it's tough to say one is infinitely better than the other because they're so vastly different. Yeah. But Fallout 4 is like my second favorite RPG or open world game of all time, behind Dragon Age Inquisition.
Yeah.
But yeah, I've already put a couple hundred hours into that, and I don't see that stopping anytime soon. I'm going to hit 400. I'm probably going to hit 500.
Yeah, that game will just keep taking you. Fallout 5 will come out. We will not be ready. We will still.
No, I'll be ready for Fallout 5.
I will not be ready. I progress very slowly in RPGs.
You know what's funny though is I was actually a hater of Fallout 4 because it released at a time when a lot of games were coming out.
It did.
And I was a huge fan of Rise of the Tomb Raider, so I was like, I don't need Fallout 4. I'm going to put all my hours into all my free time into that one game. Like I would like post about it online as I'm driving home from work that I was going to play Rise of the Tomb Raider instead.
Right.
But then, after a year, I gave it a shot and completely fell in love with Fallout 4 and all the mechanics. And I kind of want to see all that stuff come to other games, or something similar come to other games. That'd be really,
That
cool.
Would be fabulous.
Yeah.
We would love to know what your top 5 games in the generation are. I definitely read through like that entire
to see everybody's opinions.
To see everybody's opinions, which I also did one time with when the same person posted favorite show of all time. So we would love to know what you think. Top 5 games of the generation. Maybe next time we'll bump it up to top 10 next generation, so we can get a few more in there.
Maybe, later on.
More to come. I'll be expanding that. Some gaming news, which actually relates to at least my top 5. I guess both of our top 5s. Mm-hmm. There was an interview this week with Microsoft that pretty much confirmed Gears 5 and Halo 6 are in development actively now.
Yes, I saw that.
Which, of course, we all know Gears and Halo are always going to come out every few years.
Mm-hmm.
But being as obsessed with Gears as I am and having done most of the things in the game, there's always that little subconscious, well, what if it doesn't come for a while? Like, how long is it going to be?
It's easy to panic a little bit. You see it a lot online of people starting to wonder where the next one is and when it's coming out.
And then you start seeing the crazy things like, oh, they canceled the franchise.
It's gone. It's
they
over.
Closed the coalition.
It didn't make money.
It never sold a copy.
Is what you start to hear.
Coalition's closed, and so people
and you and I know people that have spent hundreds and hundreds of dollars on packs, gear packs and rec packs and all kinds of packs.
Yeah, I'm getting up there on my
and I've heard of other people spending tens of thousands on them.
I believe that. 100%.
And we're not talking about like 5 or 6 people spent tens of thousands.
There's a massive
There's
group of
hundreds, if not thousands of people that drop that kind of money on those games.
That are that committed to the Gears franchise. Mm-hmm. And there's also the Gears movie
coming. So not just Gears, not just Halo. I mean, stuff like Overwatch.
Any of them,
any of the games that have the little packs that you can buy. That stuff gets addictive.
Yeah.
Like, think about people that get addicted to gambling. Like, if you get them on one of these games, it's over.
It's the same thing. You open up your packs and it's like, what am I going to get? And then you start leveling something up. You need more of them. Mm-hmm. So rather than...
Well, there was also like Horizon Zero Dawn news, though.
There was. So Horizon Zero Dawn sent out a patch. They do have the big DLC that was announced at E3 is coming. Yeah. Mm-hmm. But they did a patch to fix some progression issues, add some outfits, some weapons. We all love when they add those things for us.
Yeah.
And then something really cool, which is New Game Plus, which allows you to replay a chapter or a section or a concept that you liked or the whole game. Without losing your character progression, your weapons, whatever you have, whatever you're wearing.
That's great. Yeah.
Which is awesome for those types of RPGs, because I've definitely had a lot of those moments where it's like, oh man,
it has RPG elements, but it's more like Rise of the Tomb Raider, where
it is a lot like Rise of the Tomb Raider.
You can't really classify it as an RPG, but it has that stuff. So yeah.
Yeah, and there's so many moments that you kind of want to replay, especially with when you have a scene that you do and you realize, man, I did do that, but I could have done that so much more stealthier. I could have done something better with that, and you just want to try it again. So that's a cool mode to be able to do that. They also added another difficulty level, which is called Ultra Hard.
What I would say about difficulty levels is if you can play a game a second time on a tougher difficulty level, and it's not as fun or more fun than the first time, I feel like that says a lot about the mechanics of the game and whether or not it's actually a good game. So that's always going to be really cool to test that out for sure. Definitely.
See how it works. Other game news, not much. EA Access Titanfall is coming to the EA Access Vault. A lot of people are really
I believe a wise man on Twitter that we both follow said, "See you in the vault." And so now it's coming to the vault, so that is awesome.
That will be exciting.
You have EA Access, I have EA Access. So
yeah, so that'll be really fun.
That'll be great, yeah.
I think that's it on game news. Other news, PlayStation 4 games are going to PC through PS Now.
That's actually a big deal. I think that is
a big deal. Yeah, that's a huge deal for PlayStation.
Yeah, it's ultimately it's a really good thing for PlayStation. So you can't really anybody that wants to spin that as a bad thing. That's good for Sony. That's good for the bottom line.
Absolutely.
More people are going to subscribe now. They're going to get more of those people. We talked about this so many times. A lot of people will subscribe to something and not even use it fully and just keep paying that subscription fee all the time. So that's going to be very good for them. And it's not a lot of the big notable games right now. Or it is some of the big notable games.
There's a few that are big PlayStation exclusive type games, and then there's a lot of them that are a little bit smaller.
So you better play it on PC.
Yep.
And then later on, I think all of the platforms, and Nintendo included, I think they're all going to eventually do something to where you can play your games somewhere other than just on the one device.
Yep.
So I'd say by the year 2021 or so, there'll be a whole lot of that. across the board.
Well, and we first saw it a couple years ago with Microsoft's Play Anywhere, which got a lot of crap when it came out. People were not very happy about that. Some people weren't. But really, we expect all of our electronics to be in an ecosystem. We really do. We like to be able to access all of our different things on all different devices anytime we want when we're not in front of our console. So it's ultimately a good thing. And of course, when there's more access, and keep in mind the really casual gamer, so they don't have a console. You know, consoles are at least enough of a chunk of change that if you really aren't a gamer, you may not have
Consoles are more of a hardcore thing, yeah.
So, you know, somebody could play Horizon Zero Dawn is a good example of that. It's not one of the ones that they're sending over at the moment. But
eventually, I believe.
A really good example of something somebody could really think, wow, I want to play that.
Yeah.
And not want to buy a console for it. So that helps them sell more of their games. Which, whether you play on console or you don't play on console, that's revenue for the company that you're supporting. So every time Sony makes money, PlayStation fans are benefiting from that. Every time Microsoft makes money,
that's the pathway to getting the PS5 that everyone's talking about right now.
Exactly. Yeah.
Is you know, dialing into those subscriptions, giving the developers, getting the publishers, giving the platform makers the money so that they can do the next bigger thing that's going to be coming in the future. So
absolutely,
definitely good. I feel like with the Xbox One X, at some point in time, we'll see that thing that's happening where you can stream and send your games over to PC.
Yeah.
I feel like it'll become a two-way street. And you better take your PC games and stream them over to your console, especially with that console because it's so powerful. So
yeah,
that'll be awesome to see. Definitely.
Well, and it's interesting because a lot of people, you know, who play on console have stated things about it. You know, if you put these games on PC, it's going to hurt console. You know, it's going to do something to console. For me, I don't care what I have access to on my PC. I will play them on my console. And I think that's true for anyone who plays on a console. So I don't think it threatens the console market, because I think the console market is truly the console market. It just gives another avenue for people who maybe aren't what we would consider gamers, or they're very casual gamers, people who don't have a console, people who are on the run, but they do have a console at home. So it expands that ecosystem, which ultimately builds gaming as a whole.
Definitely, yeah.
Which is...
Well, as we said in previous videos, it's growing, so that's not going anywhere. So
console gaming is growing tremendously. In fact, if anything, PC is the one that's not growing as much, but it's going to start to grow with integrating consoles and PCs together.
I definitely agree.
So that will help keep all of the markets thriving.
It'll help everyone's ecosystem. Will grow because of that.
Yeah. And I think PlayStation, with PlayStation Now, it's just kind of a prediction, but I think that they will put their big titles out, because those are the big PlayStation sellers. And then I think they will start to move the dates up, similarly to what Microsoft has done. They're just a couple years ahead on it because they announced it a couple years ago, to where titles are pretty much coming out and going into the service. And they'll probably just slowly move that timeline up. Obviously, right now they're kind of moving everything over, and then I think it'll just keep going closer.
Yeah, you got to test the waters. You don't want to do what Microsoft did with Quantum Break, where, you know, I was seeing a lot of stuff. Well, I was seeing a lot of stuff online where people were complaining that they had just bought an Xbox and they only bought it to play Quantum Break.
Right. And
then they found out they could have just played it on their PC. And then I was seeing some of the opposite end of the spectrum from a lot of people as well. So you kind of want to ease into that, which it's smart that Sony's doing it this way.
Definitely. Yeah. Definitely. I think that's most of the news. I do want to do a special shout out to the guys at TXR. So TXR Podcast has announced that it's not going to continue. And there are a few on the TXR podcast who are particularly notable to me. I think that something that makes gamers, or keeps gamers, is really the community. So the gaming community is very unique. It's not like other communities where, you know, people who love gaming connect with other people who love gaming, and they seek them out and they find them, and they build this community, and that's where all these podcasts have come from. And I do mean all these podcasts, because I remember when there was only like one or two of them, and then all of a sudden there's so many of them. But TXR was always, you know, bringing the news, bringing a good discussion with multiple perspectives.
Obviously that's what we like, because that's what we do.
Yes, exactly. And we like to, you know, think about the different perspectives and acknowledge the different perspectives on things. We both love to hear people's perspectives on things that are in the news as well. And TXR did an excellent job of having so many diverse sets of opinions that you really got a rounded discussion on everything. A few people that I think of when I think of TXR podcast, and I think of them in the sense of what I'm saying with the community. So Southbound, shout out to Southbound. Really love content from him. He's really awesome on the podcast. He's such a great supporter of Xbox, since he's on the Xbox side. Tim Dog, of course, we've done shout-outs to Tim Dog before. Mm-hmm. He is a truly wonderful member of the gaming community. He really gathers people together. And then Doc Cupcake as well, so shout out to Doc Cupcake. He is nothing if not exceptionally informative.
Yeah.
He is always extremely informative. He knows some really good information. He really has a good way of putting forth his opinion and having another spin on some of the things that some of us traditionally think when we hear things.
Yeah.
So it's really exciting to hear what really all three of those guys.
Yeah, and it's not like we didn't like the other guys that were on there. It's just that, in particular, those three people, they were always very positive.
Always positive. Really stand out as members of the community that really make that positive change in the community and make the...
But like you said, everyone had a unique voice and a great platform for speaking. So it's it's sad to kind of lose one of those. But like you mentioned as well, there's quite a few podcasts out there. So I feel like over the next couple of years, you're probably going to see more of them go away. And I'm not saying that's the reason why that happened at all. I don't know any of it. But there's just so much of the same people on all of these podcasts saying pretty much the same thing day in and day out, week in and week out. So how much of that can you consume? And eventually you start not watching as much. So, I think that will probably continue, sadly.
In the last couple of years, we've seen a lot of people be inspired by the podcasts. So then they start up a podcast, but then, like we've experienced several times, a lot of times there's not a lot going on.
Not a lot going on right now.
There's not a lot of news. And it's, it's hard enough to do a weekly video and get all the news together and, to be on multiple podcasts within a week in the same platform makes it pretty challenging. Yeah. So that's, TXR was a great show. They'll probably leave with a great impression because they're not going to be in that crowded space. But I look forward to seeing what all of the guys from TXR have content-wise moving forward. So excited to see more from them. So not gaming related, but Spider-Man.
Yeah, the new Spider-Man movie came out. It was very entertaining, I thought.
Pretty good, yeah.
I'd say, from the 6 or 7, I think there might actually be up to 8 scripts in the last 15, 16 years or so. Mm-hmm. This was probably the best one that I have seen.
Yeah, definitely.
So the first Spider-Man movie that Sony did came out in 2002, and so it's 2017. So we've had 6 films now, if you count this new one.
Yeah.
Out of the 8 or so scripts, 2 of those movies didn't end up getting made for whatever reason. But this one, I felt like they really nailed it. Like you said, it was a little more funny.
Yeah.
It's good that they're able to get that in there because he is a funny character.
He's a kid, so he's got a whimsical nature to him. So they've always been able to make him funny. They introduced him into the Marvel Universe a couple of movies ago.
Yeah.
And you could see they were going to go a good direction with him, and you could see that it was going to be funny, which is a direction they've tried to go with kind of all of the newer Marvels, but they really do well with that with Spider-Man.
Yeah, there was a couple movies that they kind of tried that and it didn't work out too well. And then right around the time that Joss Whedon entered the picture and started script doctoring and working on some of the movies behind the scenes where he didn't necessarily get a credit on it. You don't see his name on it.
Yeah.
But he definitely worked on fixing the script. That's when you start to see a lot of that humor coming in. And even after, he left the MCU, they've still got people running with that idea that are still making the movies, and they make it lighthearted and entertaining across the way. I thought it was really good. Some of the acting from some of the younger people it wasn't as good as like Michael Keaton. His performance was incredible. And then the guy who plays Spider-Man, Tom Holland, I believe his name is, he upped his game in those scenes with Michael Keaton. So
those two are really
was able to get a little more.
Thankfully, the acting that wasn't as good was kind of more side characters.
Yeah, so smaller characters.
It was a little bit off in certain spots, but it didn't distract from the plot.
Yeah, I liked it as a smaller story overall. It wasn't the big bloated mess.
Yeah, it was. It was localized nicely, which was really cool. So if you haven't seen Spider-Man, go check out Spider-Man. Wonder Woman was also really great, and those are the first 2 to come out in a long time that have been on that level.
Yeah, that felt like something different that we haven't necessarily seen before.
Yeah.
And really good. I don't know if I'd put Spider-Man above Wonder Woman. I feel like there was really a need for a strong female heroine. We just haven't had that in comic book movies at all.
They just haven't been pulling that one off.
So I'd still say that was probably the best one.
Wonder Woman was excellent. Wonder Woman probably saved the DC universe.
Yeah,
for now.
I would say it looks like it has, because it's gone on to outgross every other DC movie that's come out. So.
Yeah, it was really, really good. So if you haven't seen either or both of those, they're both really good. We won't do any spoilers necessarily. And speaking of that type of content...
yes. So we're definitely still working on the Twin Peaks and how to get those videos uploaded and how to time that. Probably not going to do it on this channel, so you won't see it on the current one. It'll be on the other channel that we have, which is just G4G without the media part. And so that'll focus more on television and stuff like that, so maybe even movies and trailers and things like that in the future. But Twin Peaks, obviously, we're watching that right now, so those videos are going to come up soon. And then later on, Walking Dead, when that comes back in October, and then there'll be a trailer in the next few weeks, so we'll do one for that as well. Because we're aware that people that subscribe to us right now, by the way, we weren't expecting to get quite as many subscribers as we have been getting. We thought it was going to be a much longer process. Even though, we're not getting all that many views right now, we thought even that was going to be a longer process. I always figured it'd be, we'd get like 5 or 10 views from people that know us, that watch it, and that would be it for like 6 months, and then eventually it would start to grow. But it's nice to see that growing quickly.
Yeah, we've had.
So we know that you guys that are subscribing are doing it for the games.
The gaming.
So we're going to keep this just gaming, and then the other channel will have all the other content.
The other media. I think as gamers, it's, we choose to game over choosing to watch something. Yeah. So really don't watch much anymore.
Yeah, I used to watch over 15, 20 shows or so. And now I'm down to... I think I'm down to like 5 or 6.
Yeah, it's really hard to want to watch TV when the other option is to play games.
Absolutely.
So the shows that do move us, and we will do content on them.
Definitely.
Which is Twin Peaks and The Walking Dead are probably the big two, I would say.
I'd say the only two that I really have that kind of passion for or interest in. Yeah.
So if you like that content as well, we'll make sure to... let you know that we've posted.
We'll probably do an announcement video here, letting you know about that, and then you can subscribe if you care about those 2 shows.
To the other channel. That way you don't get notifications for things that aren't the kind of content that you want to watch.
Yeah, we don't want people having to skip videos and, click on it for a moment and then turn it off and stuff like that. So.
But we will let you know if we do drop some of those videos, so we're looking forward to doing those ones as well.
Yeah, definitely.
But that sums up our week, right?
That was it, yeah.
Awesome. So if you like this video, please do give it a thumbs up, share it with your friends. If you haven't already subscribed, please do subscribe. Thank you so much for the support so far. It's been really awesome.
Yes.
Yeah, thanks for watching.